Hello everybody, I'm going to show you how to draft up a bodice block. So what you will need is a ruler, a French curve, a calculator and a pin. You will need a pencil also. Now I'm going to be drafting up in pen so it's clearer for you to see. The best pencils to use are H pencils. So on the image you can see what we're aiming for. So first of all, we need to work out the rectangle that everything sits into. So if I just flick the instructions up, so the length of your paper needs to be 75 centimetres in length, and we need to work out the width of the rectangle, which is the biggest of the two. So it's either half the bust measurement plus 5, or it's half the hip measurement plus 3. So you can go ahead and work that out now and make sure you've got enough so you can leave a margin all the way round. I would suggest making notes on your instructions as you go along. Here's a little snippet of mine. So I've got my measurements written down all the way along. So once you've worked out the measurement, you can go straight ahead and draw that rectangle out. So I am drawing out the box, leaving a border around. So again, mine is half scale, so it will be a little bit smaller than yours. So you want to make sure that your measuring is accurate. That's why you need a really sharp pencil. So I'm just filling in the bottom. Okay, so now once you've got your rectangle, you are ready to start. So if we look at the instructions, we're now on to the numbers. So number 1 is on the centre back line, mark A 3 centimetres below the top line. So I'm going to go from the square on the top left and I'm going to measure down 3 centimetres, and then I'm going to put a little mark on that line and I'm going to write A. So that's A marked in. Number 2, so A to B. So if we just flick back to the image so you can see where B is, and B is following this line down, and that is going to be where your waist sits. So let's look at the instructions. So it's the nape of the neck to the waistline, square across. So it's the measurement from the nape of the neck to the waistline. So I'm just going to follow that all the way down. I'm going to put in my mark and then I'm going to write B. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to square across. So what square across means is you're going to draw a line from here all the way across. Sometimes you only square across so far, and sometimes you're not sure how much you're squaring across. So you do it lightly, but because we know that we're going over to here, we can mark in B on the centre front side. So this is your centre back line and this is your centre front line. So we've done number 2. So number 3, we're going A to C. So if I show you the image again, so now we're marking in the bust line. So we're still following down this line here, so the centre back line. So we're measuring from A. So A to C is a standard measurement for all sizes, which is 22. So from A, you're going to measure down 22. Now again, just a reminder, I am working in half scale, so mine is going to be smaller than yours. That's just so it can fit on the screen. So again, we're going to square right across to the other side, and this is actually our bust line. So we can write C again on the centre front line so that you can see that. So off we go to the next one, A to D. So number 4 is A to D. So let's have a look on the image where that is. So that is our back width line. So A to D is half the A to C measurement. So the half the A to C measurement So from A, measure the amount, which is 11, which is 22, so then half it, which will be 11. So mine is 5.5, and I'm going to mark in D. So make sure as you go along you are marking in your letters, because it's really important, especially if you make a mistake somewhere, we can just check the lines. So that's A to D. So we're going to square across slightly because we're going to be marking in our back width. So I'm just going to draw a faint line across until I know what my back width measurement is. Right, so the next one is A to E. So if we have a look again on the image, we can see the E is the shoulder line, so that's going to be up here. So A to E is 3 centimetres for all sizes. So if you just mark in your 3 centimetres on that line and put in E. Now the next one, number 6, is A to F. So A to F, let's just have a look on the image where we're going. So A to F, we're going across for the neckline. So A to F, now depending on your measurement, so I'm working as a size 10, so on mine it's 80, but my actual bust measurement is 84. So I'm looking at the next one up. So my measurement will be 6.5. So A to F, I'm going to measure across 6.5. So I'm putting in a line across to 6.5. Obviously mine's half scale, so it will be 3.25. And then you're going to mark F in there. So E to G, so if we just flick back, so we're on number 7 now, E to G. So if we find E, so E to G, we're squaring right across to put in the shoulder line. So E to G is half your back width plus 2 centimetres. So you're going to go from E, half your back width plus 2. And then that will be labelled as G. So the next one, we're coming back over to the F line, and we're going to mark from F up to F1. So let's just have a look at the image. So F up to F1, and that's going to give us the curve. So F to F1 is 2 centimetres upwards. and that's F1. And then next one, number 9. So we're going to measure a 45-degree angle on the F join, and that is so that we can draw in the neck curve. So if I take you back to the image, you can see F to F1, that's where we create the curve. So we're going to draw up, and I'll show you on this one so that you can see. So F to F1, we're working out a 45-degree angle. If you've got dot and cross paper like me, your dots and crosses are at a 45-degree angle. So if you can line it up, it can make it easier. So you're just going to go from the point of F, and you're going to draw up a line 1.5 centimetres. Put a mark in. So we're now on to the second page. So here's the instructions for the second page. So up to 10, we're going to now draw in the curve of the neckline. So I've got a miniature curve. So I'm going to show you how to mark. So I'm going to go from the A point up to the mark that I've drawn in, and then up to the F1 point to draw in the curve. So I want to hit each point, and that's my neckline drawn in there. So that's that one done. Number 11, so we're going from F1 to G. So if I show you the image again, you've got F1 to G, which is the shoulder line. So F1 to G is the shoulder line. Now, if this line is bigger than your front shoulder line, we can add a dart in there, which I'm going to show you right at the end. So we can come back and measure this later on if it's bigger. So the next point that we're going on to is D to H. So we're working on the D line, and we're going to mark in the back width. So it's half the back width measurement. Oh, that was close. So that is H. And then if I take you back to the instructions, we're now working on the C to I line. So number 13. So C to I, it's half the back width plus 5.5. So if we look on the image, so this is the bust line. So we're working from the C to the C1. Hold on one second. Yeah, the C to I line, so straight across, is half the back width plus 5.5. So if we mark that in on the C line, that's mine there, so I'm just going to put I there above it. So now we're on number 14. So if I take you back to the instructions, so number 14, C to C1, marking the underarm measurement, half the back width. So draw a line vertically from this point to the F1 and G. So basically we're drawing in half the back width measurement. So we're going from H, so from the bust line all the way up to the G line. So we've got that line in there. So if I just take you back to the image so that you can see, so from C1, so C1 I've just marked in on mine. So C1 is here, and then we're taking it straight up so you can see. So on the image, the line goes right up to the shoulder, and on here I've marked it right up to the G line. So the image that you're looking at as well, that is just a standard image drawn on the computer, so it might not look the same as yours that you're drawing. So let's go back to the next point then. So 15, measure a 45-degree angle on the C1 join and draw a line 3 centimeters. So the same as what we've done for the neck, we are doing at the C1 joint. So if you can see here, we're starting to draw in the armhole curve. So C1, there's a dashed diagonal line up, and this is for the curve. So this is the part that we're doing. So we want a nice 45-degree angle, and we want 3 centimeters, just a dashed line or a straight line. And then we move, after that bit, move on to 16, and we're going to shape the armhole with a curve. So if I just put that first image back on, so we're going from the G down to the H, to the C1 point, and then to the I. So you can use your French curve. You can draw in your curves by hand if you want, because we can always alter at the toiling stage. So I'm just going to use the curve, and if you have got a curve and you're not quite sure how to use it, you just need to keep moving it round until you find a nice curve that'll fit in with what you're doing. So that's my curve joined in. So now we're going to go on to the next point, and that is number 17. So we're going to measure 1/4 of the back width and we're going to mark in the dart line. So the dart line, as you can see, is right down the centre with where the dart sits on the back. So this is the line that we're now going to draw in so that we can mark in our dart. So from the centre back, so your centre back line is here, you're going to measure in 1/4 of your back width, and then just put yourself a little marker. So a little marker, and then you're going to square that right up to the top. And all the way down to the bottom. So if you've got a meter ruler or a longer ruler, this is where they come in, because you don't have to keep moving your rulers around then. So that's your dart line drawn in. So the next part that we're going to do, and it's the last bit on the front, is we're going to mark in our dart. So there's the dart as it sits. So it sits on the B line, and we're going to work out the length that we need. So again, the length of the darts can change in the toiling process. So I'm just going to go for the longest darts. So the length below the waist is 13 to 15. So all you need to do is measure down straight on your dart line the amount that you need. So I've gone for the longest, and then back on your waist line, either side of the dart line, it's 1 centimetre. So it's 1 centimetre each side, and then you're going to make it into a dart shape. So join your 3 points up, and then you're going to do the same above the dart. So above the dart is 12 to 13. So again, just measure straight up to the top, so to the apex of your dart, and then join the 3 up. Then you've got a nice contour dart in there. And that's your front done so far. So we're going to move on to, that's your back done so far, sorry. So we're going to move straight on to the front. So we've got an A across at the other side of the rectangle. So we're working on the centre front line now. So I just get the instructions up there. So we're looking at the front section and number 1, and that says mark an A in the top right hand corner. That was an easy one. So A to E. So if we just look on the image, so we're looking at the front and A to E, so we're going down on the centre back line. And this is a standard measurement, so it's 4.5 centimetres or 4 centimetres if you are over size 12. So I'm going to measure down. And I'm going to put my mark in there, which is E. So, number 3, let's have a look. So we're looking at the E line where we're going to square across to M. So, we're looking at the E line and we're going to go straight across to mark M. So we're coming out from the centre front line into the bodice. So it's a standard size for everybody and it's 16.5 centimetres. So we're going to measure out 16.5 centimetres. Draw a straight line and mark M at that side. So now if I show you the image again, we're now working on number 4, which is A to F, which again, so we're working on the centre front line and we're coming straight down. And that again is a standard size for everybody and every size. So A to F is 7.5 centimetres down that front line. So 3.75 for mine. So that's A to F, and now we're on number 5. So again, we're looking at a table to work out what the measurement is. So A to G, so if we just have a look again on the diagram, so this is for the neckline. So we're working across the top line here to mark in the G. So look at the table on your instructions. So we're looking at the table at the bottom, so we're looking at number 5, and I'm working with an 84 centimetre bust, so size 10, so mine will be 6.5 A to G. So I'm going to measure across at the top 6.5. Obviously I'm working half scale, just a little reminder for myself and you guys is that. So that's A to G. So now what we're going to do, which is the last point on this sheet, is number 6, is we're going to connect these 2 points. So we're going to connect G and F together to create a rectangle. So I'm just going to square that straight down. So that's G to F drawn in. Now, like we have done on the back, we're going to dissect the angle. So we're going for a 3 centimetre curve, 3 centimetre line. Now, if 3 centimetres on an angle of 45 degrees, that's it. So 1.5. And then we're going to join that up as a curve. So I'm going to get my French curve out again, and I'm going to draw in my points. So sometimes you can't hit all 3 points, and that's okay, because what you can do is join one to the middle and then the other point to the middle. But luckily I've found a curve that sits really nice. So that's A, G to F drawn in and curved round. So now we're working with number 7. So if I change the sheet, so we're up here now on number 7, which is G to H. So G to H is the, what is G to H? Oh, G to H is the shoulder. So we're marking in the shoulder now. So shoulder length plus dart allowance. So the shoulder length plus the dart allowance, if you work that out, I forgot to do that one, so I just worked that out. So you want the measurement that is, and you're going to go from your G line, and you're going to go through the end point so that you get the angle right. You're going through the end point to the M mark that you marked in earlier. So then go ahead and mark out that measurement that you have just worked out. And so that's your dart allowance added in there with your shoulder measurement. So if we now go back to the instructions, and we are now going to be working on number 8. So 8 is mark C on the centre back line, which we've already done. So we can go straight on to 9 and C to D. So C to D, let's have a look at the image to see where C to D is. So C to D is on the centre front line, and we're measuring up. And we're measuring up 4 centimetres, and this is going to mark in the chest line. So we're marking in the chest line, and we're putting on right in D there. So we've done that. Now we're going to go to the next point, which is number 10, D across to J. So we're going D across to J. So if you look on the line, D straight across to J, and we're going to write in the measurement that it is your chest line. So half the chest measurement drawn straight across. So that's D to J. So if we write J there, that's that one done. So number 11, we're going to mark in the dart line, which is 1/4 of the chest measurement. So if we go back to the diagram, we can see that 1/4 of the chest measurement makes the dart line, which has got 2 darts in. So you've got your shoulder dart and your waist dart along this dart line. So the dart line is what we are going to be marking in now. So 1/4 of the chest measurement So if you measure across from the centre front and put yourself a little marker in there, and then square right up to the top and straight down to the bottom again. So that's our dart line marked in. So we're over on to now number 12. So we're marking in K, which is the apex of the shoulder dart. So let's have a look at the instructions. So measure 2 centimeters down the dart line from the bust line, and this is the apex of the bust dart. So from the bust line, you're going to measure down 2 centimeters and put a mark, and that is going to be K. So that's the apex of the dart. Now 2 centimeters below this point is your nipple point. So you can just mark that in. You can put NP, or you can write nipple point or just a star, just so you know that when you come to twirl up, that's the area where the nipple should be. So that's that one done. So now we're on to number 13. So we're looking for L. So 2 centimeters to the left of the dart on the shoulder line. So on L, so we're starting to make this dart up. So L is on the shoulder line. So we're going to mark 2 centimeters to the left of the dart line. So on the shoulder, you're going to draw and you're going to mark 2 centimeters to the left of the shoulder dart, of the dart line. So from the dart line, you're going to measure 2 centimeters across the shoulder, and you're going to put in a mark, and that is going to be L. And then L to M is the dart allowance that we were looking at earlier. So when we worked out the dart allowance, we're back to this again. So I'm working on a size 10, so my dart allowance will be 6.5. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure from L across 6.5, which will give me the marker of where M is. So that's my M marked in there. So now we're going to go ahead straight on to 15, and we're going to connect the 3 points. So I'm going to connect L to K, then I'm going to connect K to M. So a little technique now to work out how to do the apex, the top of the dart, is we're going to fold the dart closed now. So the darts, so vertical darts go towards the centre front. So I'm just going to fold along and close this dart up. And this is where the pin will come in. So you're going to fold that dart shut. And then get your pin, and then you're going to pin through, turn it round. So you're going to prick through just the shoulder line, so you can see when you open it up the shape, the top shape of the dart and how that will look. So open that back out. And you can see that it's made a shape. So I'll just draw that in so that you can see. So I'm going to go from my shoulder point, so H, so my shoulder point, up to the top point that my pins have just marked in, and then back down to L. following that shape down. So that's just so that when you cut out your shoulder dart and sew it together, when everything's folded up, you dart and pressed, you'll have a straight shoulder. So the next point is 17, which we've just done. We've unfolded and we've drawn in the shape of the pin marks. Now we're going to work out the dart allowance on the D to J line. So all we need to do is measure how much the dart is taking up here and add it on to the end of the J. So J to J1 is the dart allowance. So number 19, connect J1 to the bust line. So all we're going to do is we're going to join up the J1 point to the bust line with the line. 19. So now we're going to go to number 20. So I'll bring back the instructions. So this is like a 2-part measurement. So I'll read it out and then we'll go back through it. So it's half the bust measurement plus 5 and then minus the C to I measurement on the back block. So what we need to do, we need our rulers ready and our measurements ready. So we're going to go half the bust measurement plus 5. Now I would advise writing that down somewhere. And then we're going to minus the C to I measurement on the bodice block. So if we get the C to I measurement on the bodice block, so measure that. So you're going to have the first number that you had, take away this number, and then you'll have your number that you need. So let me just say that again. I'll give you some measurements, for instance. So I'll just find the measurements that I'm using. So size 10 standard. So half the bust measurement plus 5 is 42 plus 5 is 47. So I've got 47 there. So that's 47. And that's the first part of it. So that's half the bust measurement plus 5. And then I'm going to measure my C to I measurement on the block. So half the back width plus 5.5. So 1 second. I always work out. I'm writing down. That's 17 plus 5.5. Get my calculator out. 17 plus 5.5. So 22.5. So what I'm going to do now is my 47 was the first part of the equation. And now I'm going to take away 22.5, which equals 24.5. So that's the measurement that now I'm going to use on here to mark in what I need my measurement to be. So I'm marking in now that measurement that I've just worked out. Obviously this is a video tutorial, so you can play and pause, work that out. If you need to take a little bit of time to work that out, then that's fine, you go for it. So from now we're going to go to 21, and this is to draw in the curve for the front. So if I just show you the diagram again, we're now working on the measure a 45-degree angle where the J1 point touches the bust line. So the J1 point touches the bust line. So here we're dissecting again and drawing a 45-degree angle. So draw that in. And then we are going straight on to number 22. So we've drawn the angle, which is 21. And now we're going to shape the armhole. So we're going to go from I to the marker, up to J1, and then straight up to H. So you can draw in your armhole curve. I was going to say shoulder curve then. Again, just move around your French curve if you can't find a suitable curve. So that's my shoulder, my armhole marked in. I'm not quite happy with that curve. It looks a bit straight. We'll see what it's like when it's twirled up. So that's the armhole marked in. So now we're going to move down onto the waist. And so 23, so if you look on the image, you've got B to B1. So this is for your waist shaping. So B to B1, oh, we've changed the page. So B to B1 is 1.5 centimeters downwards on the front. So we're going to measure down 1.5. And we're going to meet B, so that's B1, where we've just marked. And we're going to come across and mark B1 to B on the back. So now the next point is 22, and that is to measure down from the waistline, so the original waistline, not what we've just marked in. So we're going to measure from B down 22 centimeters to mark in, which is a standard size, to mark in the hip line. So we're going to mark in the hip line. So you can see there on the diagram, there's no number for this one. We're just going to draw straight in the hip line. Straight across to the front, to the back, sorry. So now we've marked in the hip line and we're on 25, which is the waist darts now. So we are marking on the waistline. The side seam shaping is for the B1 measurement. So the darts are 1 centimeter in width, and then below is 13 to 15, and above is 12 to 13. So you want your dart at the top at least 1 centimeter, at least 2 centimeters below your nipple point, else you'll get pointy boobs, pointy darts, which you don't want. So 7.5 for mine. So we've got a nice contour dart on the front and the back now joined in. Then we're going to come across to the side seam shaping, which is the next and final part. So the side seam shaping, so we're going to mark in N. So I'll just show you quickly on the diagram. N is actually, N should be on the hip line, not on the bottom of the block. So ignore that there. N wants to be on the hip line. I'll change that for your handouts. So N wants to be along the hip line. So I'll draw it out. So it's 1/4 of the hip measurement plus 3 from the centre front line. So it's from the centre front line, we're drawing across and we're marking in N. So the next point now is N to I. So I is up here. I'll show you the diagram once again. So you're going to draw a nice faint dashed line to join N to I on the back bodice and N to I on the front bodice. So this is now where the B to B1 line comes in for your waist shaping. So on the back bodice, so on the back we are now going to be on the waistline from the I to N measurement, so the line that we've just drawn in, measure 2 centimetres towards the centre back line. So we're going 2 centimetres on the B1 line, and we're going to put in a little marker. Just put a marker in for now because we're going to shape in a second. And then on the front, we're marking in 1.5 centimetres. So from the N to I measurement, we're marking in 1 centimetre, 1.5 centimetres, sorry. And just put in a little marker. So now if you look at the image, you'll see that we've got on the back, we've got a concave curve. So from I to the waist, we've got a concave curve. Back into your N line. And then on the front, we've got a convex curve. So if you can go straight from the top, do. I was just using that a bit as a ruler then. And then flip it back round if you've got a curve and you want to be back into your N line on the hip. So now what I'm going to do is just from the hip to the bottom of the block, I'm just going to draw a line. And that there is your bodice block drafted, finished and ready to go. So all I'm going to suggest is that you write on your body lines so that you know, and when we then go into the toiling process we can transfer all the information. So shoulder dart, that's what I was going to show you right at the end. So your shoulder dart, you've got not your shoulder dart, sorry, on the back shoulder you should have your measurement, and if so a size 10 shoulder is 12 centimetres, now this is 13 centimetres, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it out in a small dart. So I'm going to find the middle point of the shoulder. If yours match up, you don't need to put a dart in. That's why I saved it till the end. So I'm going to find the middle point of the shoulder, and the direction of the dart is going to be straight down to the dart line. So the length of the dart will be 7.5 centimetres. So from the top the apex of your waist dart, you're going to measure down 7.5 centimetres. And that'll be the middle of your dart. And then draw the width. So mine is a centimetre too big. So at each side, I am just going to draw in 0.5 centimetre on each side. So it's a small shoulder dart drawn in. So when that's sewn up, the shoulders will match and will be exactly the same. So that's your bodice block finished.